money on weed and pills, trying to write a song that'll pay the bills, but it ain't came yet, so guess I have to rob a bank. Could be worse, I guess it ain't that bad. I could be sitting in old Baghdad in the middle of a hot damn desert, sitting in a tank. You know that song? Sturgill Simpson, You Can Have the Crown. Oath Malone did a cover of it. Really good. You heard that song? You Can Have the Crown. Sturgill Simpson.
What's up, fishy friends? Welcome to Tim's School of Fishing. Class is in session. I'm excited because today I want to talk to you about knife hype. Yes, that fear of missing out that we all have. Every time a new knife is released, we think it's the greatest thing ever, and we absolutely have to have it, and we go to crazy, great lengths to try to get certain knives. Well, I got off that hype train a long time ago for the most part. I am still guilty of it as anyone, and I'm making this video not to bust anybody's balls, because every trolling sort of thing that I do, I am 100% guilty, and I am guilty as anyone of knife hype. But in particular, I want to talk about all the hype around this knife, this $10 Ozark Trail Benchmade clone, and some people are going to absolute ridiculous lengths to get this knife. And, well, we're going to talk about it today. So, without further ado, let's get this camera turned around and take a closer look. Alright, so if you watch knife tube videos at all, then I know that you have seen this knife all over the place recently, the last couple of weeks. There have been countless videos and countless shorts made about this knife. So first, let me tell you how I got this knife. First of all, I did not seek it out. I was at Walmart yesterday. I had to get some coffee and some other things, and then I thought, you know what? Let me see if they have this knife in stock that everybody's been talking about. Everybody's been saying is out of stock everywhere. So I walked over to the sporting goods department, and they had one. So I picked it up. Now, it's already opened. I cut the clam pack on the side. I just wanted to show you the packaging that it comes in. I spent all day yesterday with this knife, and I want to tell you about my experience with it so far. So when I first took it out of the package, the crossbar lock that they're calling a slide lock or something did not engage at all. It was either stuck in the engaged position or it was stuck here in the unlocked position. So the knife just swung freely and would not engage at all. So no problem. Of course, when you buy a knife, whether it's $5 or $500, you want it to work straight out of the packaging. So I took the whole thing apart and I sanded the little rails that the crossbar lock slides on. Similar to your semi-automatic pew-pews, the slide slides along a couple little rails. Same thing with these crossbar locks. So I sanded those rails, lubed everything up, put it back together. No luck. The thing still did not work. So I took it apart again, did a little bit more sanding, and then I wiped all the lube away that I had applied, and I put some Teflon powder on there, and I finally got it to work after I applied some Teflon. Now, here's the problem with that. I have disassembled and reassembled countless knives. However, there's a lot of guys that are knife enthusiasts that haven't. I've had people comment on my videos recently. I did that gin knife build. I had a few people that said they've never disassembled a knife, even though they have a bunch of pocket knives, and that would be a good place to learn. So not everybody can disassemble and reassemble a knife, especially one of these crossbar locks that has those little springs. Also, not everybody has 10 different kinds of lubricants and Teflon powder or maybe graphite powder. Now, I know that a lot of us do, and taking apart a knife and tinkering with it and getting it working is no big deal, but there's a lot of people that don't. And there's also a lot of people that maybe just they're not as into knives as we are, and they just see, oh, a $10 knife, I'm going to get it. They get it out of the package, it doesn't work, and so they just take it back disappointed. So first of all, keep in mind that not everybody can take a knife apart and fix it if it doesn't work straight out of the package. So I finally got the crossbar lock to work after spending about an hour with it. Well, then I noticed that the blade is off center. The first thing I did is I tightened everything down, right? I tightened the body screws and the pivot screw, and then I tried to slowly back off the pivot screw until it was centered. Well, when I tightened everything down and I loosened the pivot screw slightly so that I could at least open it, the lock bar went to crap again. Stopped working completely. So I had to start over. I had to tinker with the tension on every single one of these screws, body screws and pivot screw, until I could get the lock bar to work. And when I did, it was still not centered. So at that point, I was like, well, this is only going to work if the tension is exactly right on every one of these screws. So I was like, okay, it's not centered, big deal, right? So then I thought, well, maybe the grind is off on this blade, because if you look up here near the thumb studs, it is centered. That blade is centered. When you get down here toward the tip, it's not centered. Well, typically if it's off centered, it's going to be off centered the whole way. It's going to start up here, and then you're going to notice that the whole blade is leaning to one side or another. Well, it's not. It's very clearly centered up here, but not down here. So then I started looking to see if the grind was uneven. Well, it's even on both sides. We don't have an uneven grind. What we have is a blade that is warped. It curves like this. It starts out straight, and then there's a very distinct curve in the blade. It is warped. It is 100% warped. I did a short yesterday, and I didn't mention anything about the blade being off-centered or warped. I didn't even mention it. I had a guy in the comments that's new to my channel, and he said, hey, is yours off center? I've seen a lot of videos that say theirs is off center, mine is off center too, and I think that the blade is warped. And I said, you know what? 100%. I had the exact same problem, and I told him, I said, it is not a centering issue, it is a blade warp issue. Again, no big deal for me. I'm a knife guy. I can fix the crossbar lock. I can adjust the tension on all the screws, and I'm also aware that it's a $10 knife. So I am going to get my $10 out of it. Here's where my problem lies, and it's twofold. Number one, the average person that buys that knife that maybe has all the exact same problems I did is going to take it right back and say it's a total piece of junk. Okay, I think that's fair and valid. The other thing is the hype that I'm talking about in particular is I have seen shorts and videos where people said that they are driving to every Walmart within a 100-mile radius just to find this thing and can't find it. Now, let's think about that. If you're driving to countless Walmarts all over the place and you spend $40 in gas to find this $10 knife, well, now you've spent $50 on a $10 knife with a warped blade and a crossbar lock that may or may not work, depending on if you get a good one or if you get a bad one like me. But God forbid that you try to adjust that pivot screw, because if you do, the whole damn thing is going to fall apart. So that's the hype I'm talking about. You're seriously going to spend $40 in gas to find a $10 knife? And the other thing is, I have also heard countless stories of people buying up cases of these and listing them on eBay, and they're there at 2.5 or 3 times the price. So people wouldn't be buying them by the case. and listing them on eBay if people weren't paying $25 or $30 for this knife, because they are. That's ridiculous, people. That is absolutely ridiculous to go out of your way and spend money to find this $10 knife, or to spend 2 or 3 times the retail cost to get this $10 knife. There are countless Benchmade clones if you want a Benchmade clone. Flissa, Flissa, makes Benchmade clones. There's another company called Huao, Huaao, Huao. They make tons of clones, and they have tons of Benchmade clones that are $20. $20. You can get a Benchmade clone if you insist on having a Benchmade clone. But then the argument might be, well, it's not an Ozark Trail Benchmade clone. So what? Ozark Trail is made in China, just like all of those other Benchmade clones are made in China. Why does it matter if your Benchmade clone is an Ozark Trail, or if it's a Flissa, or a Huao, or some other Chinese company making Benchmade clones? Why does it matter? You're going to spend $40 in gas to buy a $10 knife? That makes no sense to me. So that's the kind of hype I'm talking about. When you start chasing this down and going to multiple Walmarts and spending gas money or paying more than retail for this thing, you could have bought a CJRB Pyrite Light for $30, a far superior knife. You could have bought any one of countless Benchmade clones for $20. But people are out there driving all over the place and spending more than the cost of this knife to find this knife. And that makes no sense to me whatsoever. None. Sometimes we in the knife community just go crazy over stupid stuff. With all that said, there are some good things about this knife. I'm going to get my $10 out of it. Allegedly, this is D2 steel. It's not shaving sharp out of the box. It does have, you can see I got some dry skin there, but no hair. So, you know, I can put an edge on this. It's got a farmer's edge, but it's not hair popping sharp. No big deal. Sometimes knives are not hair popping sharp out of the box. This is a good beater knife. Once I got the thing dialed in, the action is pretty good. It's nice and fidgety. It's fun to fidget with. Once I put an edge on it, I'm sure it's going to cut just fine. It actually carries very well in the pocket. It goes in and out of the pocket very easily. So, is it a good $10 beater? Absolutely. Absolutely. Spend $10, get this knife. You're definitely going to get your $10 worth out of this knife. But if you're going to more than your local Walmart to find this knife, stop. Just stop. Don't do it. If you're even thinking about paying more than the $9.97 retail for this knife, stop. It's not worth it. For $10, it's a great deal. For anything more, it's just plain silly. So there you go, boys and girls. Just wanted to share that with you today. This is the Ozark Trail $10 Benchmade clone. Maybe yours is going to work straight out of the box. Maybe it won't. Understand, they wouldn't sell this for $10 if this was any more than a $10 knife. As always, guys, I appreciate you for watching. Give me a thumbs up. Drop me a comment down in the comment section. Let me know if you have this knife. Let me know if you're guilty of chasing it down or if you picked one up at your local Walmart. And I'm not passing judgment on anyone. I'm just sharing with you my opinion. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Just click my logo right over there. That's it for this episode of Tim's School of Fish. Boys and girls, class dismissed.